What's up, people? I'm Shaggy the Opinionated Hippie. This is part 15, I believe, of my reviewing and ranking Bob Dylan's Bootleg series, which means, of course, that we're on volume 17, because the first volume was 1 through 3, and they have not been released separately. This is the end of the line for now. We don't have an 18. I think we all are hoping there is an 18, or at least many of us, in the form of a Dylan and the Dead box set. I hope those two artists get together and work something out, because I'm into that. But when this one came out, which was back in last year, about a year ago, right? Early January 2023, late January 2023, there was, somebody gave an interview, or I read a couple times, somebody mentioning that they were running out of bootleg series ideas, and that we're getting close to the end of the line. I think there are maybe, I don't know, who knows? So we'll see what happens. I do think there is definitely a Bob Dylan live series that could be done. So hopefully we are still getting archival releases, maybe in the form of concerts. That would be pretty fantastic. But yeah, and what this is, as you can see below, it's only the second one in the series focused only on one album, and that album is Time Out of Mind and the sessions for that. The only other album that got a box set devoted only to it was Blood on the Tracks. Blood on the Tracks might be my favorite album of all time, so I think that is a well-deserved box set. This one, Time Out of Mind, when I ranked the Dylan albums, it did make my top 10 of all of his albums. I think it was 9. It was up there. Pretty high on the list for something that came out in, 97, 98. When did it actually come out? I don't know. This came out in 96 and 97. Time Out of Mind, I want to say came out in 97, right? Yeah, September 97. 5-disc set. There is a 2-disc set that I think is disc 1 of this one, and then maybe a combination of disc 2. Yeah, it's a combination of the other stuff. It's not disc 2 on this one. I'm only going to talk about the 5-disc set. I actually haven't heard the 2-disc set, though I can vouch for the first CD, and I can vouch for all the tracks on it because they're on the 5-disc set. And this is a weird release because in the Bootleg series, it does 2 things that we've not yet had done at all in the Bootleg series. And we're at 17 now, right? Yeah, this has not been done on any of these others. But the first disc is a remix of a 2022 remix of the original album, Time Out of Mind. And the original album, if you haven't heard it, has a very, I think the words that are generally used to describe it, like this murky feeling, this like muddy type, just kind of like, I don't know if grimy is the right word, but there's just something kind of suppressed about it, and very like, almost like, I don't know if secretive is the right word, but you're like, not the ideal recording conditions, but like it sounds great, but everything's just kind of compressed and muddled and kind of murky. And I loved the album like that. I had no complaints about that. I thought it fit the material perfectly. This is some pretty intense songwriting. Like Dylan is like nailing it on these songs lyrically, and the music is kind of subdued and dark and kind of mysterious, and has like this subverted, weird, intense bluesy quality, and it's really fantastic stuff. And I thought the mix served it perfectly. Well, apparently the original mix, I think it was like Daniel Lenoir. That's not his name. What is his name? The original producer. Daniel somebody, right? Yeah, Daniel Lenoir. He did the original mix. Apparently Dylan wasn't too happy with it. So this remix is apparently maybe the way Dylan wanted it to sound. And it sounds, first thing you notice immediately is Dylan's voice is so much more present, so much more front and center. It really is Dylan's voice, and then the production is in the back to support Dylan, which is much more in line with your typical Bob Dylan album. Like, it's all about the lyrics, it's all about the singer, the music is there to support him. But the difference, just the clarity of the instruments, especially when you have like guitars playing and picking and you can hear him just a little bit better, his voice being so central, I don't think it works as well. I know it was Dylan's original, like that was maybe how he envisioned it before Daniel took over, but I don't think this new mix is as good as the original mix. But it's interesting and it's fun to listen to, and it's really cool to hear these songs and under maybe a brighter light. Like, like the original album is performed in a club at like 1 in the morning, and you're just struggling to get through it, and it's like got that weird murky haze. This one, this remix, it's like a 2 o'clock in the afternoon in the sun type show. Lyrically, it's not, but musically, it's a little bit more brighter. Maybe not that bright. That might be an extreme. But yeah, it's definitely got a little more of a punch and a little more of a pop to it that the original doesn't. That's disc one. That's the other thing that's different. No other bootleg series here has had the album that it's focused on re-released or remixed, right? Which a lot of artists do. Dylan hadn't done it yet in the bootleg series. The other thing, which when I first heard about it, I was like, huh, interesting. But then I got it and I listened to it. And I was like, okay, good call on your part. There is a bonus disc, disc 5, which you can't not get the bonus disc. So I guess it's not really a bonus disc. It's all of the stuff from these sessions that was previously released. Most of it on other bootleg series, especially Volume 8. I think maybe one of them was from Volume 1 through 3. No, maybe not. No, it wasn't. I don't know. One was from a soundtrack, I believe. But it's all this stuff that had been previously released all on one CD just so you can have it all. And it's a great idea because now you have this one box set which has every Time Out of Mind song on it, even if it's already been previously released. My only complaint is, like you got 2 versions of Red River Shore, which have been previously released. They're back to back. You got all 3 versions of Mississippi, which were on Volume 8, 1, 2, and on the bonus disc. You get all of those 3, but they're in a row. And I think it would have been maybe a little neater. You could have had like just done it so you're not getting Mississippi's back to back. But you Mississippi 4 songs, Mississippi 4 songs, Mississippi, right? That works. But it's cool, and I like having all this stuff, and I've talked about most of this stuff on other ones, so I'm not going to address that, but it's pretty cool. So that's disc 1, the remix. Disc 5, the other stuff we've already heard, but it's kind of neat to have it all in the same package. Discs 2 and 3 are the outtakes, the alternate takes, all that kind of stuff. You also get 5 songs from this session that were not released on this album, including the absolutely fantastic Mississippi, which goes from this almost upbeat, jaunty original performance to things that are a lot more murkier and darker and more what we would finally have. So we get 5 different versions of Mississippi over the course of this, right? At least 4, which is awesome because Mississippi might be one of his best songs, and the fact that it was left off this album is just head scratching. You get Water is Wide, which I think he had done earlier, a traditional song he had done. Rolling Thunder, right? I think that's where it popped up. Sorry if I'm wrong on that. We get Red River Shore, a fantastic, fantastic song. We get March into the City, and we get Dreaming of You. All really good songs. So we get the versions of those from these sessions, which are fantastic. And then we just get alternate versions of everything else that's been on, that's on Time Out of Mind. And they're really good. And each disc, it's almost like just re-listening to Time Out of Mind, almost like a live version of it, in that the sound quality is probably better than live versions would be, and disc 4 bears that out. But they're slightly different performances, maybe slightly different lyrics, a slightly different tempo, just a slightly different vibe. But disc 2, I don't think you have a single song that repeats itself over the course of disc 2. So it really is just like revisiting the album. No, you get 2 versions of Till I Fell in Love with You. But you get to revisit the album again. It closes out with Cold Iron Bounds. Disc 2, awesome closer, right? So that's cool. Disc 3, more different versions of the same songs. You get another version of Trying to Get to Heaven. But again, I think all different versions on here, including another version of Highlands. But again, it's like revisiting the album just with slightly different lyrics, slightly different takes, slightly different vibes. Really, really good. It's a great album. These alternate versions are not like, they're not like Frank Zappa types up some of his releases where you just have like 30 seconds of talking or you have a lot of dialogue. These are like full, complete versions of these songs. They just were not picked for whatever reason. And they're fascinating, and it's a great listen. And like every other version, I think might not be. I mean, I do think you could have taken some of these other versions and made a version of Time Out of Mind that is still a #9 ranked album, but all of them just kind of show you the same song from different angles and just for me further my appreciation of the original album and further my appreciation of these songs and the sort of what ultimately could feel like endless possibilities of what Bob Dylan could do with these songs. Just approaching them from slightly different angles with slightly different vibes just kind of changes the whole feel and the whole song. Get a couple versions of Not Dark Yet. I mean, that's absolutely amazing. Then you get disc 4, which for me is kind of the one disappointing disc. It is the live disc. There's a bunch of live tracks. And the problem with it is not all the versions are better than the studio versions. The Cold Iron Bounds is fantastic, just ferocious almost. But the sound quality on some of these leaves a little to be desired. Kind of reminds me of like, I used to trade tapes a whole bunch for the Dead and Zappa. Kind of reminds me of like a really solid audience tape right in front of the soundboard where you're getting the vocals just like front and center and kind of loud, but everything else is just kind of in the background. It's just kind of this even wash. And yeah, if you listen carefully, you can pick out instruments. I mean, it's not totally bad sound. I'm probably underselling it, but the live stuff is leaving a little bit of a sonic kind of, yeah, I wish these sounded a little bit better. Some of the performances are fantastic and kind of redeem it, especially that Cold Irons Bound. But some of the other ones, I'm just like, it's just sound quality. I just wish it was a little better. Because when we do have better sound quality Dylan stuff, it sounds pretty fantastic. So while I'm usually that guy who likes the live stuff better than any of the other stuff, this is the one instance where I'm like, I think with the intimacy of these songs and sort of what these songs require and like what they're about and what they are lyrically, you really want to hear every instrument. You really want that like the studio quality, even if it's murkified by Lenoir, however you say his name. Never heard anybody say his name. I know he produces a whole bunch of albums. These are songs that demand better sound quality. Like I think of like late 60s stuff or stuff with the band. There's such just a force of energy with that murkiness almost can kind of sell it a little bit and work with it because it really is just this force of music where I don't feel like what these songs, other than Cold Irons Bound, which has a force, the other ones have a delicacy about them, even if they're dark and depressing, that I think you need better sound quality. So even though I like the live stuff and I appreciate that they're giving us a bunch of live stuff, I do wish it just sounded a little better. But yeah, I really, really like this release. I think my appreciation of Time Out of Mind has definitely grown. I think I appreciate each song in a different way, and I think the flow of the original album, I'm a little more of like appreciative of that flow. When I ranked it, I did the Dylan albums by tiers for some random reason. I did A tier, S tier, B tier, right? And I had it as I think the last of the A tier, like the A++ tier. I think I'd bump into S tier based on how this box set has allowed me to like reassess all the songs and see them from different angles and all that kind of stuff. Like I said before, I really enjoyed it. Where would I rank it among other Bob Dylan stuff? Right smack dab in close to the middle. No, a little higher than the middle. Number 6. I have it way up there, even above volumes 1 through 3, which might be crazy. I think maybe I don't know, maybe. I really, really, really enjoy this. Like I've really, really enjoyed this. And I really enjoyed disc 5, even though I already have all this stuff there, just having all this stuff on the same thing. And as much as I complain about the fact that all 3 Mississippis are in a row, it is so much fun to listen to all 3 Mississippis in a row because it's such a fantastic song. And just the little minor differences in each are just feel bigger, when you're listening to them back to back to back. So in a way, that decision makes sense. I apologize for criticizing it. Yeah, I love this. I really like this release. And I think this generally got good reviews by people. And I think this got treated well. I know we have other stuff from this era because of volume 8. We have a whole bunch of Volume 8, which is right above this. We have stuff from these other albums. A Love and Theft in Deep Dive could be pretty interesting, right? Even a Rough and Rowdy Ways. I'd like to know what other kind of stuff he was entertaining, if that material exists, if he is entertaining other songs. So I hope it continues. And I also really, 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 really hope for a Dead Dylan box set at some point. But yeah, that's where I rank him. That's all I got. Thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts on this release, on Bob Dylan, on the Bootleg series, on Time Out of Mind, stuff I might have missed or overlooked. But I'm impressed by this. I thought this was a good release. And yeah, I think it's deserving of its own box. Time Out of Mind is. Its own box set. Its own 5 CDs. Good job, whoever put this together. Well done. That's all I got. Subscribe, like, share, comment, do all those things. Thanks for watching. Go listen to Bob Dylan. Peace. Talk to you later.